This video is going to address the GOAT culture. This is something that happens in every sport, from football to basketball to MMA to sprinting to every sport you can think of. American football, hockey, Formula One, those kind of sports. Every sport has its GOAT category. But I feel like when it comes to GOAT category, errors also play an important role. And because I'm a huge football fan, I'll start with football. So in football, in the 60s, 50s, 60s, Pele was regarded as the best player of his time, and he was what's his name? He was beyond his time. Like Pele was unbelievable. At that time, he was the best they had. In the 80s, came Maradona, leading Argentina to a World Cup triumph with his famous goal, "Hand of God," and what's not. So Maradona too was playing above everyone else, putting that, wow, we've never seen anyone like this. And now came the 90s. You have the like of Ronaldo, Firmino, Van Basten, Gullit, those kind of players. Zidane in the 90s. Well, like, oh, okay. Now there's some competition. Arnold at the point in time was the best player in the world. Zidane at the point in time was the best player in the world. And before that, Van Basten at the point in time was the best player in the world. It came to the 2000s. We have emergence of exceptional players. You had the likes of Thierry Henry, who never won a Ballon d'Or, who I think should have won, and a whole lot of players. All the way to the 2005s, the emergence of Ronaldo winning back-to-back World Player of the Year, was also regarded as unplayable at that time. Until Ronaldo and Messi burst into the scene. And Ronaldo and Messi, the thing is, they were both in the same era. They both faced each other several times. I don't think any two football greats have had a face off as like Messi and Ronaldo. There's no, you don't find anyone. So Ronaldo and Messi, they faced against each other, won multiple Ballon d'Ors, for the best player, Golden Boots and whatnot. So you have people who think, most people, I think, majority falls like Messi is the GOAT. And I'm part of the minority that feel like Ronaldo is the GOAT. But the reason I'm making this video is because you feel like this guy is your GOAT, you can't take away from mine, because the GOAT is not something that you can measure. It's not a tangible thing, you understand? It's an abstract. The term of measuring GOAT is an abstract. There's no like real definition of any GOAT or sport. There's no definition for it. So it's more like what you resonate with, or what you feel about that particular individual or athlete that makes you maybe resonate with him and maybe make him your GOAT. Or maybe there are times, imagine me or another fan, there are times that there are some of the most happiest moments of my life has come from watching Cristiano Ronaldo, like playing the game of football, scoring goals, winning Champions League and whatnot. There are people to that Messi made them like fell in love with football that way. And you want that person, because you feel like your also good is better. You want that person to ignore that feeling and accept your version. It doesn't make sense. It's an opinion. If you think Messi is better, fine. If you think Ronaldo is better, fine. There are all people who fall like Maradona is better, fine. Because mind you, in 50 years, 20 years time, there will be emergence of great players. How do you think the sports will it's evolved with each person, the sports become better. How will it feel if maybe in 70 years someone just say like, or let's say 70 years is too much, let's say in 30 years time someone tell you that Messi ain't shit, like yeah, Messi fan be like Messi ain't shit, this player is a Ronaldo. Be like, what? You understand? That's the sentiment you have. So you will see that it will be fair to you, because you know what Messi, the kind of emotions Messi put you through, or the kind of emotions Ronaldo put you through. You understand? So with that, you can't just say this player is the de facto GOAT. Same thing when it comes to basketball. We have the likes of Jerry West in the 60s, Bo Russell, emergence of Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson era, Michael Jordan era. All these players were considered the best players at points in time, and rightfully so, they were the best players in the NBA. Steph Curry came in this era. Put Steph Curry in the 90s, and they'll think what he's doing is wizardry, because it's something that they won't be able to fathom, because in their era, 3-point shooting was not common. So bring a player that will be shooting 15 threes and sinking like 7 a game, or 5 a game at least. They'll be like, what the hell is going on? You understand what I'm trying to say? So like, era define era doesn't denounce greatness. No, just that era evolve players. Like players with every era, you get better players. And the reason why you get better players is because one, those players have a lot of playbook. Let's say right now there's a new player coming. You can watch the highlights of Messi. You learn Messi think trick, another chop. Like you can learn all those things and add it to his game and become better than them. Does that make him better than them? No, it's error. And also, what's the name? Health, nutrition, all play parts in those things. Like in 20 years time, health will be different. I'm sure at one time players will hardly get injured, and all those things affect stats and other things. The only things you can measure in football is when it comes to Messi, he's the most accomplished player with the most trophies. That's a fact. That's something you can't argue about. When it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, he's the player with the most goals in history. That's also something you can't argue against. When it comes to Pele, he's the player with the most World Cup with 3. That's something you can't argue against. When it comes to that, those are facts. Facts can be facts. Facts are facts. You can no one can argue when you make a fact. But when you talk about opinion, they're just like my notes. Everyone has one, has the same goals. So as I was saying, so you can't necessarily put a label that this player. You can put. I mean, it's your choice. You can put. But when you put a label that this player is your good, you can try and convince people, but don't try to make it as if it's the truth. Like is like you understand, as if it's a fact. The person has to accept it. No, like you have to appreciate every great player because I'm sure our fathers and grandparents in the 90s and the 60s, some of them saw Pele and they were like, man, these men are ahead of their time. Now you go back and watch their YouTube video or highlights, you realize that what were this guy doing? Like you realize that normal players are able to do some of the things, not Pele Maradona level, but like those old players. You realize that players are able to do what they were able to do. You understand? So can't put a label on like a de facto goats in sports. So when it comes to basketball, the same thing. LeBron James right now, when it comes to numbers, nobody like meets me. Numbers longevity is the best when it comes to the numbers and longevity. But how is that fair to players like Michael Jordan, as I mentioned, Jerry West and the likes? It's not fair. The same thing when it comes to boxing. You have the likes of Muhammad Ali, who is popularly regarded as the greatest of all time, but it's not a fact. There are people feel like they saw Tyson, like they feel like Tyson was better. People saw Lennox Lewis, they're like Lennox Lewis is better. People saw Mayweather, they feel like Mayweather is better. Does that make Muhammad Ali less great or Mayweather or any of the no? It's opinion. That's what they resonate with. So allow them to resonate with. Don't try to force it on people's throats. Like you understand, like as if it's a culture, like it's something that should be universally accepted. It doesn't happen that way. There are some sports that you can measure when it comes to like athletes that run like Usain Bolt them. Their sports is about like it can be measured by numbers because Usain Bolt has a record for the fastest like race in 100 meters. That's 9.58 seconds. That's a record that still stands to today. I'm sure in the future someone will come and break it. But someone come and break it, does that make Usain Bolt less of a goat or does that make the person better? No, things change. Athletes evolve. Athletes become better. It's like it's as old as time itself. That's the rule of the game. Athletes in the future become better. Not athletes. Everything in the future is better than the original version. That's how it is. What comes like with the emergence of iPhone 4. iPhone 4 was the first iPhone. You don't compare it to iPhone. What's the name? iPhone 17 right now. But that's the what started it. Without it, you might not reach it. You understand? So you have to appreciate all those things. When it comes to swimming, you have the likes of Michael Phelps, who is the most decorated Olympian. I'm sure his numbers are right now broken or they'll be broken in the future. I'm sure his numbers right now are broken or they'll be broken in the future. So when that happens, does that make him less of a goat or not? It doesn't. It doesn't happen that way. You understand? So the likes of Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt. When it comes to tennis, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, same thing. Federer was regarded as the greatest at a point in time. Then came Nadal and Djokovic. Djokovic is now the player with the most Grand Slams. Does that make Nadal less or everyone who they resonate with? The same thing is Formula One. You have the likes of Lewis Hamilton, all those people. But like GOAT, I think the term GOAT shouldn't be like because GOAT actually means greatest of all time. But I think it should be greatest of all time. Like it should be plural. You understand? It shouldn't be. It can't be one person. You can't say one person is the best at this because when you compare times and sometimes errors too matters because some errors somebody will not be was in the fortune slab. Let's look at Jan Blake and the likes in the era of boats. Their time the numbers that they made for the 100 meters and 200 meters, if they come in today's like this modern era, they will be the number one in the sports. They will have beaten over likes and the likes, but they couldn't. So this era didn't allow them to get gold and whatnot. So like I felt like goats or goats should be the actual term. And Allah want to have their goats. If someone goats is some people goats is Steph Curry. Like, what's wrong with that? You understand? Then you some people try and be how many finals MVPs does he have? How many MVPs? Yeah, that matters in the sports, but like that's his goats. That's his personal goats. And when you talk about general goats, it can't be one person because there'll always be conflicts. There'll always be people who don't you see eye to eye with other people, and that's okay. Let people have their goals.